For this afternoon and tonight, a significant winter storm, including heavy snow with limited drinking.
Hello and welcome to the Snow Brains podcast, where it's my job to interview the most intelligent people in the snow sports industry and pass their fascinating knowledge on to you, our listeners. I'm your host, Miles Clark. I'm a professional free skier, mountain guide, an Alaska heli ski guide, a UC Berkeley molecular cell biology graduate, the founder and CEO of Snow Brains, and I just got back from 23 days of skiing in Italy. We skied the Hellbrunner. We skied on Mont Blanc, the Vallée Blanche, Chamonix, La Tuile, La Rosière in France, and mostly at Courmayeur. I was blown away by the terrain. The snow, the size, the people, the vibe, the food, and just how much great terrain doesn't get skied. Honestly, I didn't want to leave. I'm infatuated. I might have to go back for 2 months next year. Now that I'm home, these mountains seem so small and insignificant. Grazie mille, Italia.
This episode of the Snowbrains podcast is brought to you by Club Med. Are you ready for an unforgettable ski getaway that takes care of everything? And I mean everything. Head to one of Club Med's mountain resorts where you can experience the thrill of the slopes without worrying about a thing. With their all-inclusive packages, you'll get all your lift tickets, ski passes, ski and snowboard lessons for all ages and ski levels, delicious meals, exciting apres-ski activities, and even childcare for the kids, all included in the price. So you can focus on what matters most, carving perfect turns and enjoying the breathtaking views. Visit www.clubmed.us or call 1-800-CLUB-MED or call your travel advisor to book your ski escape today.
My guest today is Sam Anthamatten. Sam is a fully certified IFMGA mountain guide and one of the very best free skiers on earth. Sam competed on the Freeride World Tour, where he took second place overall his very first season on tour. Sam is very adept at big, steep, technical skiing, but he can do it all in the freeride style, which is amazing to watch. Sam paired up with Jeremy Heights to make the hugely successful Liste movie, where they attempt to ski 15 of the biggest faces in the European Alps. Hello, Sam. Welcome to the show. Thank you very much for being here. How are you today, man?
Well, thanks for inviting me. I'm pretty good. We have a Bluebird Day in the Alps, but not much skiing going on. So,
And you're in Zermatt?
I'm in Zermatt. Excited to be on the podcast with you. Actually, I'm looking out and the flying weather would be great for some paragliding.
Oh, and we need to mention that's one of your new things. When did you ski last?
Well, when did I ski last? Depends a bit on how do you look at skiing and what's skiing for you.
For me, it's just anytime I put skis on and go slide around on snow.
Then I skied 2 days ago.
Nice.
But actually, I'm not allowed to ski because I'm still recovering of a knee injury.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, I had a pretty bad crash last May filming
Oh,
for the project Boundless,
wow. Okay.
the faction portrait that we did. And yeah, I messed up my knee quite well. When I saw the specialist, he told me, "Good job, Sam. Good job. That's done." So ACL, cartilage, and the menisc all blown up, which
Wow.
resulted in 2 major operations during the summer,
Mm.
2.5 months of crutches, and I'm back walking straight upwards again, but I'm not allowed. 2 more months of training, and then I should be good to put on skis again.
Well, that's good because you come ski with me in South America this summer. I'm going to go to El Chalten. So,
No way.
yeah, so you should come. I have a big house. Don't tell anybody. You come stay with me. So tell me a little bit more because I blew up my knee in 2015 in a crash and I blew my ACL. I ripped off a square centimeter of cartilage on my femur and I
Yeah.
vaporized a meniscus. And it was all in the lateral part of my left knee. And they did microfracture surgery into my femur where there's no cartilage. My surgeon said this is a 7 out of 10 bad knee injury. And
Right.
it took me about a year. Actually, no, it took me like 18 months to get back from the day of the surgery to get back to quote unquote 100%.
And how do you ski today? Do you
I'm
have any?
okay. Yeah, I'm good. I would say, especially because I'm old now, I'm almost 47. I think I'm skiing as well as I would have anyway. So I think that I would say I got to about back to 100% and
Yeah.
had some really good, we had some really big seasons in California, 2017, 2019, and then 2023 last year. And I think I skied to the best of my ability, but I mean, the truth is, I would definitely ski better with a better knee because I can't do huge long days that often anymore, and lots of bumpy snow just tears my knee up.
Yeah, so that's pretty much comparable to what I did. I had another ACL 12 years ago,
Oh
and
wow!
on the same knee, on the right knee. And what's pretty special is that between those two accidents, if I look it up on the map, there are 438 meters between my first ACL and the new accident with the re-rupture of the ACL. So it's only half a kilometer in between, and it's a zone that I will not ski in the future anymore, I believe.
So you have a forbidden zone now because twice, right next to like 5 football fields away from each other, you crashed and tore your knee up. Oh, that's
Yeah,
tough. Well, we don't need to dive more into it, but after this podcast, we should stay in touch because did you get microfracture surgery? Were there no
yeah,
cartilages?
yeah,
So we should stay in touch because I think our injuries are really similar and I could give you
yeah.
some insight into what's helped me. And I ended up with osteoarthritis. So my injury was 2015. 6 years later, I got osteoarthritis, and now I've been getting the PRP injections, if you know what those are. And
Yeah.
so, and those really helped me because I basically couldn't ski anymore. And then those brought me back. I have a knee brace that helps bend my knee so that it alleviates pressure on that lateral side. Was
Yeah.
yours lateral as well?
Cartilage is both
Oh,
uh,
damn it.
oh, yeah.
And
How you say lateral and what's the
medial. Hmm.
medial
Yeah.
and both yeah, 1.8 square centimeters. Big chunks
Oh,
ripped out.
wow. Okay. Mine was a square centimeter. So, yeah, yours is almost twice that big. All right. Well, then we'll stay in touch because it's helpful to know another person who skis and likes
Yeah.
free skiing and has gone through a similar injury, what their timetable was like, what worked, what didn't work, all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
So that's really helpful. And how many languages you speak? Your English is great.
only learned it by traveling, so I don't have all the words in my
Uh-huh.
vocabulary, but some French, a little bit of Italian, German, and English.
Wow. Good for you, man. The Swiss seem to have the most languages because they almost all speak the three and then English also. So,
Well, there are four in our
no, and then
in our
because, well, Romansh, but you don't speak Romansh, do
bunch. Yeah.
you?
No, 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 no.
No.
That would be too much.
Yeah,
No, but
that's
that yeah, that's the special part about Switzerland that yeah, you have four languages and you travel around. If I go skiing in my home resort, if I go far south, then I end up in Italy.
I love it.
And I can often I speak with those guys Italian, but they change straight to French because at the old days it was Valle d'Aosta was French.
Hmm.
So it's always when you travel with skiing, you're not only skiing, you're also talking another language, you're enjoying another mentality. And that was something that skiing also brought me. That not only skiing, also climbing, because I learned speaking French with my buddy Cyril Berto, who was at young age my climbing partner, and he was always speaking French. So that's why I got into French. Nowadays, a lot of skiing in other countries than the English speaking, yeah, community is huge. Yeah.
It's really interesting. I just learned that, and I could be wrong, but my friends were telling me because I was just in Aosta for a month in Courmayeur, and
One
they
month.
said 1 month. Yeah, I just left yesterday. I loved it. I had so much fun, and they said that that used to be a separate country called Piedmont Savoy, and they spoke French and Italian. So that area, almost all the names are in French. And then we went to La Tuile, if you've been there, which is,
Yeah.
for Americans, that is a huge ski resort. And then you go over
Yeah.
the other side into France to La Rosière, And it's even bigger. And it was only like 3 days ago we went there. My mind exploded. There's so many cool chutes and good free ride terrain, and not many people are skiing it. I can't wait to go back. Just the idea for us that you could ski from one country into the other. And as soon as I got into France, sure enough, everybody's speaking French, and it just felt
Yeah,
totally different. And then you come back to Italy and everybody's Italian, and it feels totally different over there, and different prices and all that. So they're really, really cool.
yeah, it's really special. And I think the special part of it is the easy access that we have in the Alps. We have hundreds of little ski resorts. And even in Valle d'Aosta, where you have just been, you can change of so many directions, so many different resorts with different accesses. And that's the cool thing about the Alps. Yeah. The coffee in Italy. Why you
Yes.
went over there?
Yes, €2 for a cappuccino or
Yeah.
macchiato anywhere you go. But yeah, it really blew my mind. We were at the top of La Tuile, this huge ski resort, and from the top of the ski resort, I could see five other ski resorts. And I think one was
Yeah.
Les Arcs, which is huge. I just realized, I don't know, I haven't spent a lot of time in the Alps, and moving forward, I am going to. So it really blew my mind. But today, Sam, I really want to dive into your incredible professional skiing career, your career as a fully certified IFMGA mountain guide or Bergführer. And
Sure.
I'm really curious about your new movie Boundless. And I really want to learn about the out of this world movies you made, La Liste and La Liste 2. But to start, I'd love to hear your quick and dirty life story. So if you could tell us your quick life story, because I know yours is really interesting and you really grew up in the mountains. We'd love to hear, who you are and where you came from and why you're doing all this.
Well, I grew up in Zermatt, Switzerland, mountain town underneath the Matterhorn. So easy access to the mountain was, I think, forming myself. Together with my brother, we started climbing at a really early age, about when I was 10 years old. So already when I was 12 years old, I joined Swiss national team in climbing. So
Whoa.
I was being professional climber before.
How
So
old?
when I was 14, I was climbing like 513s. I was pretty good in it, but then I got two fingers damaged,
Hmm.
which ended up to be a little bit of a cut in climbing. So our focus went into alpinism. Alpinism in summer, in wintertime, we did the ice climbing world championships because that was a cool new sport and it was let's say, a fun way to compete on those world championships with big parties at the same time. When I was 16, I was winning my first World Cup there.
Wow.
And that was like the build up of when I was young into the mountains. And parents, for example, they were never into it. They showed us the beauty of the mountains, but they are not really climbers. But my brother was. Also, my brother then was doing the ski teacher exams, and then he was getting to be a guide, and I followed him on that track. Ended up my guiding exams 2010. The same year, we went to Yosemite Valley. We climbed 10 times in 1 month El Cap.
Oh my gosh. Wow. And for our listeners, that's over 3,000 feet. Continue. Wow.
And at the same time, I got a wild card to join the Freeride World Tour in 2011.
And so you haven't mentioned skiing yet. How did you get so good at skiing?
Well, skiing in Zermatt, we are living in one of the biggest ski resorts in the Alps. My neighbor is Pirmin Zurbriggen, the Olympic star, and Zermatt has it all for skiing. And we grew up with it. When I was 2 or 3 years old, we were playing in front of our house skiing. That was just normal. Skiing was always along that climbing career but never really on point of it. And it was actually, when I look back, it was 2008 and 2009 when I was still competing on World Cups in ice climbing. But we had such good winters where I just said, fuck this, I want to go skiing because powder is so good. And that's where I went more into that direction. And also I thought I should do a competition. A friend of mine organized competition in Fieberbrunn. At the time, it was one weekend it was ice climbing, and
Mhm.
one weekend it was free riding.
Wow.
So I was there for ice climbing. I was top 5 or top 10 in ice climbing.
Wow.
and told him that I'm also interested in free riding. So he said, "You should stay here, and then next weekend you compete on the qualifier." I did that. I was pretty bad, but I told myself I gonna come back next year and I gonna do it better. And that was 2010. Also, then when I finished my guiding exam, 2010, I did three qualifiers, was winning one of those on the Freeride World qualifier. And that's why I got the wild card for 2011 Freeride World Tour. So I entered in the Freeride World Tour and was straight away runner up during that season. And the whole shift from being a professional climber following my brother was going towards skiing and skiing professionally and doing my own thing and getting better and better on it. Yeah.
And Fieberbrunn is in Austria for our audience, and I'm sure I said that wrong. But that's really incredible to me that in 2008 or 9, you did your first comp. 2011, you got a wild card, and you ended up second place overall that year. That
Yeah.
is remarkable. And then your story continues to go from there. So since 2011, you did a lot more competing. You did some movies. What else was a part of your life?
Well, definitely at first the focus was really on competing. Competing on the Freeride World Tour was a great build up for my career as a freerider.
Hmm.
And then I got through sponsors, got invited on film. And also one main character was Xavier Delerue, who was calling me up end of the season. He was calling me up, yeah, we should go filming. And I was a mountain guide. I could help him to get up on the mountain. But he was, for me, he was like a superhero. So I was definitely into it, into joining him and then exploring the terrain in May. That was April, May, and we did some really cool filming around that time. Yeah.
And that was in
And
the Alps.
that was all in the Alps and some really, let's say, some runs that we have done, which have been then also the inspiration for Jeremy Heights for La Liste 1,
Mm.
because Jeremy was also on the Freeride World Tour. He saw that I was around with Xav, and he also saw the movies that we did. And then he brought this project to life, La Liste 1, where he got influenced by Xavier and myself also. And
I
that
did
was
not
like,
know that. That's really cool.
yeah, it's a cool story, and it's cool that it all links together because then for me it was also really cool to have Jeremy. At first he wasn't an alpinist at all, but then he got interested in it, and all of a sudden I had a ski partner which I needed to do the big stuff. That was a cool switch also from Jeremy, and everybody nowadays know who Jeremy Heights is, right?
Right. Well, I think everybody knows who you are, who Jeremy is, and who Xavier de la Rue is. And if they don't know Xavier, he is the very, very famous snowboarder who I guess maybe snowboard mountaineer. He does it all and has done really well in the Freeride World Tour in the past and is one of my favorite athletes to watch. So those three names are incredible. And I love that you guys hang out and ski stuff together. So let's jump right into Boundless is a ski movie you just made that really follows your life and it kind of talks about being a pro skier and what the ups and downs are of that. I am curious, what are some of the highest highs and some of those lowest lows for you as a pro skier?
Well, the highest highs, it's easy. It's if you have that perfect line that you imagined and it's working out perfectly and you have a good day sharing with your best buddies. That's the highest high. Lowest low, definitely right now I can speak about the injury, but it's what I'm talking about in the movie. It's more about the stress factor that you have, the uncertainty or how you call it, that you have before a project where you have so many variables that have to link together that the project comes to life. And right now, yeah, having two kids at home, yeah, having like more stress from that side and then bringing in your own projects, it's sometimes it can be stressful. Sometimes I wish myself it would be cool to just go to work at 8 o'clock in the morning and then finish work at 5, 6 o'clock in the evening and done, basta. And
Mhm.
not spending my whole time till like midnight thinking about what could go wrong, what could I do better, and just like it's kind of a downside, but it's also I think it's the way of you live your passion, you're in it, you want to do your best, and it's reality that you're yeah, maximizing it. And sometimes that can be quite tough mentally, I would say.
I agree. And do you feel pressure from sponsors and from the public and from the filmers you're with?
Not at all. Not from sponsors, not from the public. I mean, that's often it can be afterwards that you get criticized or whatever, but that's haters are haters. Doesn't happen often to me, but it's more the pressure that I put myself. So I think I have a special place, or let's say it's just incredible the life I have, and I want to keep doing it. And I don't want to stop. I don't want to slow down. So that's where I put pressure on myself. I think, yeah, that's often as an athlete, you do that because that's how we are. And when I'm looking back to Boundless, I can't really enjoy the movie. I can't really be proud of it because I don't like myself talking, first of all. I don't like myself hearing talking. And then every line that I see, I'm like, why didn't I do that? Why didn't I, the little details that I see that I wanted to do better.
I experience that as a skier as well, and almost every single line. But when I watch you, I see almost perfection. Like there's one hit you do in the movie where it's really a rampy hit on the skier's right, and it just doesn't look like a good spot for a trick. And you do a 360 off of it, and it's huge and long, and you land it and ski away, and it's the snow doesn't even look very good. And I just
Yeah,
watching this
I
going,
do a little backslap there.
do you? Okay, well, I'll give it to you though, because the snow is
Oh,
not that good. But it's just like I'm watching that, just like, oh my God, like just that you pulled that off. And that was a really good example of me of wow, Sam is really, 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 really good at free skiing. This is incredible that he still pulled that off because that was just none of it really was lined up right and you pulled it off. And so it's neat to hear you say that. Makes me feel like I could be, nicer to myself in my skiing. And you certainly should be nicer to yourself in your skiing because when I watch it, it just my mind is blown. You're on another level, man. It's really amazing that you can ski at that level and then climb at that level too. And you're a fully certified guide. And you mentioned you're having two children now and you want to keep doing this as long as you can. And I'm curious what you mean there. So sometimes when people have kids, they start skiing mellower because of that as they get older. How old are you now?
well, I'm almost 10 years younger than you, so
Okay,
I'm 38.
you're 38. Okay, so you're
Yeah.
not, you're almost 40 though. So do you plan to
Thank
keep,
you. It's
yeah, you're
way
old.
away
You're
the
old.
number.
Yeah, you're old as dirt, man. You're
Yeah,
obviously
yeah.
you're obviously young and strong. So and that's interesting too. When I blew my knee, I was 37, same time, and that was my first real injury. So similar timing for us there as well. How much longer do you want to ski at this level? How much longer can you ski at this level? Do you want to
Yeah.
mellow out at some point?
It depends what's this level. What does it mean, this level? Because if I'm looking to the guys skiing at the Freeride World Tour, the level is insane. So a few years ago, I was still thinking, yeah, I should go back and maybe do a run on the Freeride World Tour. Today, I'm not at all looking to compete on the World Tour. The level and yeah, also the conditions are pretty tough. But how much longer? I mean, I adapt to what I can do. So that's the plan right now. I want to do another 2 months of really strong training to then get back on skis. And then let's see what I can do. Let's see where my level is going to be. It's not going to be with the youngsters that are throwing doubles everywhere. That's not me anymore. But I think I still have my position somewhere where I can do cool expeditions, aesthetic lines, and still ski strongly without risking too much. Let's say it like that. But I mean, the goal at the end is the life goal is if you're 70 or 80 years old and you can still ski, that's the life goal.
Well, your
And
and my life goal might be similar. One of my life goals is to be able to ski top to bottom groomers in Zermatt when I'm 80 years old. So, well, I'll see you out there. Yeah, exactly.
I'm gonna be
Uh,
70, you're gonna be 80, right?
that's right. Exactly. Yeah. And so you'll be coaching me. In the
A
movie
good
too, you talk
question.
about more about the ups and lows. And so what other pieces of being a professional skier do you not love? Do you find challenging?
What I see now, it's that often it's last minute decisions, last minute, like nobody is really fixing any dates till January, and all of a sudden everybody comes up with, yeah, we need to do this, we need to do this, we should shoot this, and guys, we have this project where we would like to have you. And then I'm like, yeah, but I have also my own project, and winter is really short. Skiers, alpine skiers, they have way longer winter. We, as a free skier, the good conditions, if you take it in the Alps or also in North America, it's February, March, April, maybe May,
Mm-hmm.
and then it's done. And in those 4 months, you have to be productive. And often it's last minute notice. So you try to figure out your 4 months and give the best in those 4 months. Also for skiing, but also for your sponsors, partners, they are happy too. Yeah.
Do you ever feel like I feel right now? It's March 10th or 11th, and I feel like I haven't gotten anything done yet. It's sort of stressful. It's like, oh no. So all right, well now I got to really start pushing it and get some trips and line up with a photographer. And do you ever get that feeling?
Yeah, I had that feeling quite often. And definitely when I was younger, less experienced, I had it way more.
Yeah.
And the cool thing also in Zermatt is that you can ski till July if you want. For example, the ultimate run with Marcus Eder, most of the shots are done in June and July. So
Really?
actually, yeah, you have time. And that's also what I tell younger riders, that keep it easy in October, November, December when everybody's hungry,
Mm-hmm.
because you still have quite a season to go. So on that side, I think that you can be more chilled, but on the other side, it's always that communication from sponsors that can be quite stressing because it's always last minute. And then, of course, in free riding, as I told you, there's so many variables that have to match that it happens that it's really also at the end a good product where you want to put your name on it. I think it's not easy, but that makes it challenging and fun also. That makes it being a special job at the end.
And I think from what we've seen from your movies and when it does work out, the reward is very high. And it makes me think of your guiding too. So in guiding, similar, what are the things that are stressful for you or things that you don't love about guiding?
Guiding is a really fun job if you're guiding fun people. So even a shitty day can be a good day if you're hanging out with fun people. But then a lot of people have high expectations. So they think, I hire a guide, I pay a guide an amount of money, and I'm secure to have fun to ski great powder. Actually, we can't choose the run, but we cannot change the conditions. And we can
Mhm.
adapt our line to it that we're safe, but we can't make it snow. Yeah.
And that can be stressful.
That can be stressful with people that don't understand it.
Mhm.
If people have been around in the mountains for a time, then they get it and it's easy going and it's fun. But it's often the human factor that is stressful while guiding, because you know a bit about conditions, you know the mountains, and the human factor can be the one that is interfering a bit.
Well, you can manage a lot of the dangers and risks in the mountains, but you can't really manage that part of the human factor, if people are having fun, what their attitude is.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, it's about bringing them fun, but it's also at the same time, it's the balance of fun and safety. So often people, if you have more fun, it shouldn't decrease the safety of it.
Hmm.
At the end, it's that balance that as a guide you have to take, and also to say no if it's not good to go. Sometimes people don't understand it. If they see a huge amount of powder, it's bluebird, and you're stepping on the brakes, they don't get it.
Hmm.
And then it makes it hard. Yeah.
Absolutely. And you're clearly a cerebral, intelligent person, and especially with your guiding and your skiing and your projects. And I really like in your movie Boundless, Elizabeth says she really likes working with you because you're a safe and intelligent skier. What do you think she meant by that?
I think she was lying.
That's the easiest.
No, intelligent. I think safe and intelligent skier. It's what I learned with Xav, for example. Xav, we all have had our close calls. We have learned out of it, and we professional enough to say no when it's not good. I think for the young riders, that's important to stand up and show them that it's not worth it to risk your life for one specific descent. It's a lot about taking good decisions and being on the right place when it fits, when it matters. Then you can show your best skiing. Then you can go for it. But don't push when conditions are not aligning. I think that's a bit what she means by smart decisions.
How much is your happiness tied to skiing?
Yeah, tied to skiing, tied to moving in the mountains, paragliding, biking, all together. I mean, I'm a different person if I can't do it. That's what I realized this summer again when I was injured. When I'm not up there doing my thing, I'm not the same person. I need this. It's not the adrenaline, it can be just standing up there and looking around. It's a part of me and it makes me happy.
And tell us about how much of a part of you is paragliding now. You mentioned in the movie that paragliding is a really great thing for you because it's not so hard on your body. You feel like it's maybe a little bit less dangerous, and you're still getting an awesome experience on the mountains, clearly.
Well, I got more and more into it now with really good gliders where I have a good glide ratio. And I just talked about the fact with a client of mine last week that we did once a tour up on Breithorn where you have to go around the Breithorn. You tour for 2 hours. Then we had to go to a Serac field, like with big crevasses. So we were roped up and we were navigating through those crevasses. And at the end, it was a climb of a ramp, 300 meters, which was quite exposed, where I had to do belays to secure him, to bring him up to this like perfect north-facing run, 1,500 meters. Just one of those runs that he says it's still in his mind. And all that, today or last year, I was taking off with my glider from the top station of the Klein Matterhorn of our lifts. 12 minutes later, I landed at the same spot
Oh, wow.
with my glider. Just boom. I didn't do any step. It was like 12 minutes. Then I was there.
Wow.
So it's opening up a new dimension, a new possibility. And of course, you say, I think it's not more dangerous, but if you take that story, it's 4 hours with a client going through terrain that is quite exposed compared to a flight of 12 minutes. I think the question what you would like to do or what involves less danger, it's pretty easy.
And for our Imperial System Americans, 1,500 meters, I think, is almost 5,000 feet. So this is an amazing, huge run. And you're just getting it from a lift and then a 12-minute flight. So almost no exercise to get there. That's incredible.
Yeah, it's just that what we have in the Alps with the lift access and then bringing the paraglider in addition opens up a whole new ski area for myself. It opens up so much more runs in an easy and fast way also.
That's incredible. How much does your paraglider weigh?
Depends which one I take. The smallest one is 1.8 kilos.
Wow.
The biggest one is 3.8 kilos.
So still at worst, this is something like 10 pounds, 12 pounds. So it's not adding a whole lot to your backpack. That's incredible.
Yeah, and it opens up quite a big terrain.
This episode of the Snowbrains podcast is brought to you by Club Med. Calling all skiers and snowboarders, escape to the snowy peaks of Europe, Japan, China, or Canada with Club Med. There are more than 20 all-inclusive mountain resorts offer unparalleled convenience and endless adventures. Explore world-class ski resorts, indulge in authentic gourmet dining, and unwind with lively apres-ski activities. Let Club Med take care of everything so you can simply relax and enjoy your ski getaway. Visit www.clubmed.us or call 1-800-CLUB-MED or call your travel advisor to discover your ski paradise.
So I just went tandem speed flying for the first time off of the Skyway Monte Bianco, with my friend who's like you, and he flies and does speed flying and all that. And they have secret zones that they ski because people can't get to them. There's a huge, he's like, at my ski resort, there's a 60-meter cliff. So we just speed fly 5 seconds down, put it in our backpack, and we have a whole zone nobody else can ski. It takes us 3 days to track it out. So pretty unique. And that in the Alps, they let you fly, right? There's no rules against it, as far as I can see.
So he's living in Muren.
I shouldn't say. Yeah, I shouldn't say. Yeah, he told me not to say anything. So I will not confirm. But it sounds like you know that zone. And yeah, it
Yeah.
just sounds incredible.
Yeah, and I think that's with the new gliders, you have way more possibilities and it's still fun and safe at the end.
Yeah, absolutely. It looks amazing. Well, my last question about Boundless, because I want to move on to La Liste, is what message did you want to convey in the movie Boundless? So when people walk out of the movie theater, what do you want them to know about you as a person?
Well, me as a person, I think that's secondary. For me, that's not the important part. It's way more important to go out, have fun, and share that with your friends, with also the younger generation, and bring that knowledge further. Share it and don't hide it. Share what you know and do some open communication. That's where everybody gets better of your surrounding.
I love that message. Let's move on to La Liste because I want to explain this movie, but I think you could explain it better because this movie is just incredible. I think it really opened people's eyes. It changed the way people thought about skiing the high peaks, but I should just stop and let you tell. So, what is this movie, La Liste? What's the premise? What is this movie about?
Well, La Liste, it was an idea of Jeremy Heights. So we were together on the Freeride World Tour. As I said, with Xavier Delerue, I did some steep lines or steep skiing lines around Zermatt. And then Jeremy approaches me and he says, I have an idea. We should do a movie, a project of 2 years, and we do 15 of the biggest faces around the Alps in a high speed freeride way. And I thought, like, skiing, that's possible. We can do that. But in 2 years, to make 15 of those descents, that's absolutely ridiculous. You must be out of your mind. Or I was more like, well, he has no idea. He's just a dumb little free rider that doesn't know anything about mountains and conditions. But anyway, he convinced me to join the project. And at the end, he did 13 out of those 15
Wow.
sense. And if you have to watch it, it's definitely a project where we had low expectations, and at the end it was just a new era that Jeremy opened up with that project.
I think that's the right way to say it, a new era, because these guys, if you watch the movie, are free skiing huge turns down ice climbing routes.
Down routes that they have been skied. Most of those descents have been skied in the 70s and 80s, but with short turns on a like different approach. And we went out earlier in the season where it was still powdery, but you have to think about it like the Weisshorn is a 1,000 vertical meter face
Wow.
and it's 55 degrees steep. And the goal was to do those lines in big GS turns. And in the movie, you see that if conditions are lining up, it's possible to do it. And when it's possible to do it, it's just a dynamic way to show skiing in a beautiful environment. And I think that's incredible. On the other side, if it doesn't align, then it can be the risk, the exposure that you have up there. It's just consequences are major if you do a mistake.
Well, tell me more about that. So, how many of those 13 faces are no fall zones?
At the end, if you take those 13 or 15 faces, they're all no fall zones.
Hmm.
Because if you tumble down that far, then usually it's not really survivable. Let's call it like that. Well,
Hmm.
there is a story of a Czech snowboarder that was falling down the whole Matterhorn east face and he ended up in hospital, didn't broke any bone, was good to go again.
But that's lucky. And this is why I'm painting this picture for our audience because this is why this movie's so exciting because these lines are terrifying. These are big mountain lines that even if you were a really great skier, you would hack your way down and make a stop every turn, very small turns. So to see these guys going full speed, making huge turns down them is scary because you can see even if you fell going slowly, you might not be able to stop. But these guys going full speed, if they fall, they're for sure not going to stop. So their confidence in their skiing is very high. What time of year did you ski most of these lines? And did you use helicopters? Was this all hiking? How did you get to the top of these lines?
So you have a part, the first part of the movie where we use helicopters for like three lines,
Hmm.
but they're in there, but not really counting as the lines of those 13 peaks.
Of the
And
list.
all those 13 were made by foot. So
Wow.
by foot. And then often we went one day earlier, so we camped out there. And then we had helicopter organized to bring the filmers on position, either in the helicopter or somewhere on the Barbie angle on the mountain.
I often laugh when people make fun of me for not skiing great when I ski high mountains. And I want to tell them I'm so tired. Been hiking for 8 hours. I'm definitely not skiing well. And the snow often isn't that bad. Could you talk about what does it take to get to the top of these mountains? These are huge mountains. Most of these mountains are 14,000 feet or 4,000 meters. Are you tired at the top? Tell us more about that part of it.
That part it's the special, not the downside, but it's really special because you're already like a day ahead, you're hiking up to a hut or to a camping spot. Then you wake up in the morning at 3 o'clock, 4 o'clock to go up that huge face. During that climb, you try to understand the whole snow situation and you do decisions how you want to ski that run. Most of the time, you're climbing between 5 to 8 hours. Just we're not going super fast because the focus is to be fit on the top and then ski it well down. But after that much of climbing, you're up there and it's time to deliver.
Mhm.
And when the conditions are good, then after a minute, you're down at the bottom of the face and the day is over. So you spend so much time climbing, processing all the data that you have to just bam, 1 minute of a descent. But it's quality. At the end, it's the quality of skiing. And also, when you look at the shots, then we can say we were waiting for the right time, for the right moment. It was perfect. We couldn't get it better. And that's when you can ski it in a way that is not understandable for many people. But at the end, it's the skier, but it's also the conditions and the mountain itself. So it all has to align that you can go a step further.
My experience at least, you arrive at the top tired and then you have to perform and ski well. And if the conditions are good, it's not that hard, right? You're a great skier, Sam. So this is great snow. I'm a great skier. Boom, I'm at the bottom in 1 minute. Were any of the lines that you skied in La Liste, did they have any of them have bad snow? And it was a lot of work to ski them?
Yeah, there are several ones. Well, I wasn't on the Petit Combat where Jeremy actually had a fall, so
I saw that.
he lost the ski, which was super
Woo.
scary, and he was able
Yes.
to stop in the super steep area. On Cervasutti, I skied that line before by myself, but wasn't there on the movie project. And he had really bad conditions. So it
Mm.
was just worked by the sun, by little avalanches that were sliding down the day before, and it wasn't skiable in the way he wanted to ski it. And at the end, you're tired and you have a vision of skiing it fast, but then already by the first turn, you feel if it's good to go or not. And that's something you have to learn. You have to train a lot and you have to it's nothing you're thinking about. It's the feeling that you build up with a lot of years of skiing. And at the end, you know if you can go for it or not.
And speaking of feelings, did any of these lines feel dangerous to you? I'm curious, how close to your limit were these lines for you?
Well, for me, it was special because we went to the Dome Joch, and our filmer, he had not a heart stroke, but Guido Perini had a pretty bad time up at the mountain hut
Okay.
at the bivouac. So we had to fly him out,
Oh, wow.
count.
So he got altitude sickness or something.
But yeah, was more than just a bit of altitude
Okay.
sickness. Yeah, anyway, the next day we didn't climb up because we had the whole night really strong winds. So we decided to go down back to the valley and rest to get another line in. And during that ski down on the flat glacier, we were skiing easily, and I was also at the same time flying the drone and skiing. That was the good old days where we all had drones, all the skiers. So skiing down on a flat glacier, watching out for crevasses, flying the drone at the same time. And I do a mistake where I'm just like cutting an edge and I break my foot in the ski boot.
No.
And that was the reason why I didn't ski on the Obergabelhorn because I
Mm.
was injured, but I was filming Jeremy when he was skiing the Obergabelhorn, and filming him was a complete mixed feeling because when you're in it as a skier, as when you have done that process of getting on it and just trying to visualize it, then it's normal or logical that it's good to go, that you feel comfortable with the risk.
Hmm.
And then I got pushed out or was stepping out of it and was all of a sudden filming him skiing that crazy gnarly face. And it felt completely absurd. It was like, dude, are you crazy? Right now you're risking your life. But at the same time, I would have done the same thing if I would have had the chance. So it's really, it depends on which side of the vision that you're standing also.
Mhm.
Because
Perspective, right? Perspective is everything.
yeah, there at the end you have to, if you're honest, if you're doing an honest risk management, all of those lines are highly exposed. And then at the end you have to be honest with yourselves and tell yourselves also that if you do a mistake, then it's there's not gonna be an avalanche airbag or something that is gonna help you. That's just not happening.
No, it looks
Yeah.
like if you fall, you're going to keep falling. I love that story with the drone too. And do you have any other crazy or funny or scary stories from filming La Liste?
A lot of funny stories, but for me, I as a guide, it was also special. Or guide, I was a bit more like the experienced guy in it, and it was so special to see Jeremy coming with that lightness and just like, yeah, I'm gonna ski that, I'm gonna ski this, I'm gonna, yeah, yeah, whatever. And at the end, he pulled it off. He pulled it off in a great way. And it was something also for me to learn that if you push for it, if you don't limit yourselves, then you can do crazy stuff.
Well, I kind of like the old saying, never underestimate youth or experience. And I think you guys as a team have both of those things, which is pretty powerful.
Yeah, definitely that's helping a lot. If you have those two things in two characters that are equalizing or like almost pushing each other to another level. Yeah.
So thank you for that. La Liste one, incredible movie. If you haven't seen it, do yourself a favor. It's out of this world. And then you made La Liste 2. And so again, can you tell us what was La Liste 2 about and where did you guys film?
Well, as La Liste 1 was a huge success, we said, let's do La Liste 2. And at the end, yeah, yeah, what's La Liste 2? Well, let's go 2,000 meter higher, which means we go to 6,000 meter peaks around the world. And we're gonna ski them again in our signature way or in just that free-ride way. We said, let's do that. And well, we were thinking about it quite a lot. We planned it quite a lot, but we didn't know how demanding it was. Let's say we had a little bit of a pink vision after La Liste 1. With that, we went to Peru, straight away down to Peru. We said, let's do Artesanrajo. It's this beautiful 6,000 meter peak, a pyramidal face, which could be skiable in good conditions in the way we want to do it. And at the end, that's where we got really the realistic or the feedback of nature because we climbed it. We were there 7 days. We didn't acclimatize really well because we got into it. We saw the mountain and we said, wow, conditions are looking good. Tomorrow we need to go up there. We climbed it and it took us 14 hours to get to the summit.
Whoa.
which is already quite a long time. We got to 6,000 meters. From there down, we wanted to ski it in a way, but we knew that it's not really good. So we put on our skis, and in the afternoon, conditions have changed a bit with light, with the wind that we had on the mountain. Everybody was already tired. And I remember dropping into it, like I felt like the first two turns, like, okay, this could be okay, but let's go easy. And went over a shoulder and first turn into the real steep phase. I'm just like, holy shit, this is unskiable. Made my way down towards Mika, our photographer that was in the middle of the phase. So we're still up there at 5,500 meters. Talked with him, and we were both super scared that Jeremy is gonna send it, that
Mm.
Jeremy want to deliver, want to show really strong skiing. So
Mhm.
we talked to him on the radio and we're like really telling him it's not the time today. It's take it easy, take it easy.
Mhm.
So we both made it down over the Bergschrund and super tired. Then we still had Mika that was up there and two mountain guides, one Josh Lavine who was filming and the other one Rafi, who's the good father or how you call it of Jeremy. And then it happened that Mika, who is a really experienced steep skier, he lost the edge on an icy patch, hit a rock, and started to tumble down. He
No.
started to tumble for about 100 and 150 meters
Wow.
towards the Bergschrund. He lost consciousness
Ooh.
and was like unconscious, sliding on this hanging glacier down towards a serac. So he's sliding towards the rock, and Jeremy sees him, has no chance to think of anything. He just goes over and grabs Mika.
No.
He rescues him from falling off the serac.
Wow, just that is impossible. How did he do that?
I don't know. It's in La Liste too. You can see a short sentence or short part of that, but it's crazy. Like Mika is 80, 90 kilo big Finnish guy. Jeremy was just on his edges, grabbing him, stopping him of falling off the mountain. So he saved his
Wow.
life.
For sure, because if people aren't familiar with the Cordillera Blanca in Peru, it's all these hanging glaciers. Basically, if you fall, you're going to fall off these glaciers and down into rocks. And a lot of amazing skiers and mountaineers have lost their lives in this area, including our friend from Lake Tahoe, Arnie Backstrom. And it's because of that, you lose an edge, you start to fall, you can't stop falling, and eventually you fall off the glacier into these really unfriendly zones. So that Jeremy grabbed Mika and was able to stop him is out of this world because it's really hard to do that. In a lot of situations, you'd try to grab somebody and they would make you fall also.
Yeah, and that was in retro perspective, it's crazy. It's completely insane, but he saved his life and he didn't think about it. Jeremy was just reacting. He was just saving his life. But that was in the afternoon at 4 o'clock. We were at 5,300 meters. Mika came back to himself,
Hmm.
but had major injuries. Blown up wrist, elbow, punctured lung,
Oof.
head injury, broken spine,
Wow.
blown up knees, blown the legs, everything. And we realized where we are. We are in
Hmm.
Peru at 5,300 meters, calling on a sat phone for a heli rescue. There is no heli rescue coming. Realizing, okay, this La Liste 2, it's a cool idea, but it's a whole different game. We are traveling to countries like Peru, Pakistan. We wanted to go to India, to Nepal, where there is just not the same support what you have in terms of medical rescue like in the Alps. Not that we base our decisions on it, but at the end you have to step back and also do really, really much smarter decisions in that terrain.
And that was the first one for La Liste 2.
Yeah, that was the first.
Wow. So that was a
So,
wake up call. And then where did you go from there?
well, that was not only wake up call, that was like we were asking ourselves, what the heck are we doing? Is this really the project we want to do?
Hmm.
At the same time, it was way more important that Mika is doing well, that
Hmm.
he was getting back on track.
Yeah, how did you get him to a hospital?
Well, already to get him to a hospital was a rescue that took more than 12 hours. During the night,
Wow.
we were lowering him down the glacier, like rappelling him, and just we built a toboggan. Then we put him into tents that he didn't don't die for hypothermia.
Hmm.
We were heating bottles and put him in a sleeping bag and just to get him back. And then we were on the toboggan bringing him to the end of the glacier. And from there, we had a stretcher. So the mountain police came up with a stretcher and we were carrying him from there all the way down to the valley, which
Wow.
took the whole night. We have friends of ours, filmers, who were on the rescue with us, who told us one guy, he said, I have to stop for a minute. And he was sitting down, fell asleep, and shit himself because he was so done. It was quite a rough experience. A rough experience, but for myself, it was something I have done. I have done rescues before. And for myself, when we gave Mika to the hospital, to the ambulance, I was like released. It was like perfect.
Yes.
But then the whole thing started.
Oh,
They,
really?
it was absolutely crazy. They didn't saw that he had a punctured lung and gave him oxygen
Oh,
in the hospital.
no.
So he was during the night he was trying to move his oxygen mask away because he had pressure on his lung that was giving him too much pain. So
Hmm.
with his broken hand, he pulled that oxygen mask away. And then the next day, we got to another hospital in Lima. So he got flown down to Lima, capital city of Peru. And there in the hospital, the same thing. Like they wanted to operate him on the back, on the lower back,
Hmm.
but he had broken the upper back.
Oh my
With
gosh.
the rescue was something we knew we were capable of, but then going to civilization, to the hospitals down there, it was another game. And
Almost worse because you have no control.
you have no control. We had always support from Switzerland, from our doctors that we know well. And at the end, the conclusion was you're not operating anything down there. You tried to fly him back home, but with a punctured lung, that wasn't possible at first. So it was a lot of crazy stories. I remember being at the hospital bed there with him. We were giving a massage to his feet because he couldn't feel his legs, his feet anymore for 5 days.
Wow.
And we talked to the doctors, told them we want to bring him back to Switzerland to get him medical service there. And the only thing he said, the doctor, was he stood on the bed and he showed, he was like holding his hands on chest height, about half a meter or 50 centimeters higher than the legs of Mika.
Hmm.
And he told Mika, okay, if you can move your legs to up here, you can fly home tomorrow. Completely strange.
Yeah, what a strange challenge.
Yeah, and he couldn't move his legs anymore.
Hmm.
So it was a special, really special experience. Yeah.
Wow. So even the medical staff was confrontational at times, it sounds like.
I don't know. Maybe it was also a big gap because of the language barrier.
Hmm.
Same time, what we felt was that, okay, the Swiss guys, the injured Swiss guy, he has a lot of money. We're gonna keep that milking cow here and
Uh, might be true. Yeah, that could be true
we're
too.
gonna profit from that. That was a bit, after a few days in that hospital, that was the feeling that we had.
Hmm.
So at the end, yeah, we tried to bring him back home as fast as possible and to have medical service here in Switzerland.
So you got him home, and how is he now?
Well, he's back on skis. He's not skiing any steep stuff anymore. Before the movie, he was, let's say, he had the most experience in that. He has
Hmm.
done way more stuff than Jeremy and myself before.
Wow.
But the end, he survived. It's because of Jeremy, because we were working together really well on the rescue. and he's happy about that. But he has still one foot that he doesn't completely feeling 100%. So it's difficult, definitely.
Scary, man. I've actually been invited to ski that area. I always say no because I've heard so many stories like this. There are people getting hurt and killed, and it sounds like the snow is not very good, very challenging area. And then obviously all the medical support and rescue support. And so I really appreciate you sharing that story. That is wild, man, and just impressive that you guys did such a great job taking care of Mika and getting him to the hospital and getting him back to Switzerland and keeping him alive. That's a very great story. So from there, you skied in Pakistan. Where else did you ski on the La Liste 2?
So we went to Pakistan just 2018 it was for
Hmm.
Layla Peak.
Okay.
And Layla Peak was a good expedition, but we didn't have the conditions to ski it well.
And
So
this is maybe the most beautiful peak in the world. It is so steep and jagged. It just looks like the tip of a spear. And I've seen pictures of this for many years. And my friend Lee used to always say, we should go ski that someday. And I always said no. But I love that you guys went and did it. And yeah, tell us a little bit about Layla. How was it?
Layla, it's as you say, it's a tip of a spear
Hmm.
that rises up to 6,000 meters, and it has
Wow.
that little end where it drops off a huge cliff. So it's again a big exposed descent. And we traveled over there, traveled when travels were smooth, and arrived at the base of it, and we had the first look on it, and it was like super intimidating.
Yes.
The mountain itself, the size, the conditions were not there. We saw that the ice was really close to the surface. We said, okay, let's take it easy. We go have a look on it, and then we work our way slowly towards it. A few days later, we went up to a bit of a higher camp and we said, let's have a try to go to the summit and then we see if it's skiable or not, and we come back. In the morning we start, and Jeremy didn't feel well. He had altitude sickness. He lost the balance. He was already putting on his crampons. He was really slow and
Hmm.
didn't move properly. So after a while, he told us that he's not gonna come up. And with Josh Lavigne again and Luca Rolli, a mountain guide that we know from Italy that followed us, we decided, let's go. We're gonna go up to see how it is, how it feels, and just to get informations about the descent and everything. And we didn't really focus on skiing it. And we summited. I started skiing on top of Layla Peak, and I knew the ice wasn't far, so I did two turns and was still attached to the rope and ended up on the ice. So after two turns, I said, "Okay, it's okay. I know there is ice, so let's rappel down." So we rappelled quite a bit, and at the end, I could ski that middle part, which is open, which skied well, but it was not the proper ski descent that we wanted to have. And we came back to camp, everything was cool, and had a big discussion the day later what we should do because conditions were not there to really push for it, and we didn't see it improving much over the next few weeks. And at the end, we changed our objective. We said, let's go. There are tons of other lines
Hmm.
in Pakistan. We go on the opposite side and we ski some good stuff, some stuff that is looking cool. And that's what we did.
And it looked
So at the
great. Those spines and all that stuff. It was
Yeah,
amazing, the
the
terrain.
spine wall there, it was just mind-blowing. Spine wall at 5,500 meters, packed with snow, super fun lines on it. And in the movie, you see how Jeremy is he's not going up on his line because there was a natural release from a cornice. And I still push for my line. I ski a beautiful spine, which was really feeling well. It was nice descent and thought like, yeah, that's cool to be here in Pakistan and to do a real descent, to do a challenge. And the same day we packed together a camp one higher up and went down to base camp. And all of a sudden in the evening, we look back from base camp up to the mountain, and the whole line where I skied slid. And that was like,
Down to
it
the
was
rocks almost, right? Like a massive slide
down to the ice. So
down to the
actually,
ice.
you speak about the whole snowfall in that winter was happening, was gone. So
Wow.
straight to
Jeez.
the ice, a crown of, let's say, 3 to 4 meters,
Wow. So yeah, like 10, 12 feet. Yeah, it's insane.
and only on the line that I skied. There wasn't
Wow.
anything around, wasn't moving.
How did that
And
make you feel seeing all that?
the special thing is when we film in Alaska, in Canada, around here in the Alps, you get a straight feedback from Mother Nature. If it's unstable, you see that straight away. You have a little release or something, or you see that it was avalanching a bit. Here I skied it, and 6 hours later, there is a time gap of 6 hours. The snow crystals on the mountain decide to release. With the theory that I learned in mountain guiding to analyze the risk, to analyze, to make risk management with the avalanche danger and everything, there was nothing fitting together. At the end, I had no answer to it. I had a straight feedback that I should, let's say, fuck off.
Hmm.
Like Allah was telling us, you guys have played enough, now you gotta go home. And that's how I was taking that message, because I didn't had a logical answer to how that can happen. Then 6 hours later, the line that I ski is completely gone.
I mean, to think that the whole winter's snowpack, 12 feet of snow deep, just ripped off that huge mountain is insane. And that it was only 12 hours after you were there. So I understand that. And cool. Thank you for sharing that feeling. And again, La Liste too, incredible movie, especially that spine zone. And I'm so glad that it didn't release, while you guys were near there. And will there be a La Liste 3? Whether yes or no, like where else do you want to film in this style?
We said with Jeremy, let's do La Piste tree.
That piece. Yeah.
La
I like that.
Piste, the
Be more
slope.
safe.
Yeah, that's more safe. So we can
Yeah.
ski some steep slopes.
Yeah, I like that.
No, well, at the end, La Liste 2 was a huge project. Then we had also COVID happening during that. So we were
Hmm.
the second time in Pakistan, we were in quarantine, which wasn't that funny. But we had a great last expedition at Snow Lake where we were able to show some good skiing. To answer your question on La Liste 3, yeah, La Liste 3, the logical way would be to go up to 8,000 meters.
Hmm.
But currently, I'm not really seeking out to ski on 8,000-meter peaks, no.
And why not?
Skiing has to be fun.
Hmm.
And climbing an 8,000-meter peak is not fun. Skiing it down can be fun, but I think the percentage that you get it in good conditions, like Hillary and Jim had on Lotzi, it's minimal. I'm just not ready to sacrifice that much of time, also with two little childrens right now, for a project that I don't see much potential of good skiing. Because
Hmm.
at the end, I want to ski good lines and not just slide down a mountain
And
and
just for
step.
our listeners, 6,000 meters is about 20,000 feet, and 8,000 is about 26,000 feet. So for La Liste 3, this would be all in the Himalayas and big and scary stuff. And then my experience is that the higher you go, the worse the skiing is in general. And you're just getting lots of sun, lots of wind, lots of ice, and just there's a lot more going on up there.
Yeah, and that's at the end, I think the big factor is wind also that you have up there. You need a good acclimatization, so it's really time consuming.
Hmm.
And if you look to the ratio that we had skiing in Pakistan, then it's about, let's say, 5 weeks of travels for about 6 to 7 lines.
Hmm.
That's not a lot of skiing.
No.
And if you go even higher, there is going to be more traveling with less skiing.
Hmm.
So I'd rather go to Alaska like we did with Victor Delarue, the
Hmm.
brother of South, where we had 18 lines in 3 weeks, But those 18 lines, they were just like prime skiing, where I could also push my level of skiing and not push the risk.
Because yeah, the higher you go, the more risk there is. There's just no question. So I support your decision. I think that's smart and a good strategy. And so before we leave here, I do want to mention again that you're a fully certified IFMGA guide, and you've been that certified since you were 24 years old, which I think is really young to do that. That's incredible. And there's so much I could ask you, but I know that in your movie Boundless, you talk about balancing your guiding and pro skier life. So tell us a little bit more about that. And I'd love to learn more. How often do you guide? Where do you guide? And how much of a part of your income and life is it?
A lot of questions. Let's start there. I was 24 years old when I was a certified mountain guide. But at the end, what did I do? I had 3 years of formation where I learned how to guide. But with 24 years, I was, I think, not in a position to sometimes tell the client, okay, today we go back down.
Hmm.
Often you, yeah, I think you still go with decision to the mountains, which today I wouldn't support. Today I would be there as more experienced and tell the client today we're gonna go back down. It's not gonna happen. And that's the downside if you're young, but then you can build up on that, you can get experience. At the end, it's all about that. Nowadays, I'm guiding really not much. I do that mostly in summer. In summertime, I do the classic 4,000-meter peaks on the normal ways because it's good training, like a basic training to get fit, to have a global good fitness for wintertime.
Hmm.
In wintertime, I basically don't guide because I have, let's say, I think globally 140 ski days for film projects for myself. And then I don't want to spend days in my ski boots where I'm not really skiing, where I'm just looking after somebody. And that's
Hmm.
a bit how it is because at the end, the level you're skiing as a mountain guide is really a different level than what you ski as a professional skier. And if you want to evolve as a professional skier, you have to focus on specific ski days and not
Hmm.
do too much of like standing around, let's call it like that. That said, the income is also that's 10 to 15%, not more. The rest is sponsorships where I live from with long-time sponsors like Swatch is 10 years, Julbo is 20 years that they're
Wow.
support. It's really cool to still be supported by those brands. We build up together a name, a relationship, and it's still going on. So it's something that also keeps me away from guiding because I built it up for now over a decade. And that's why I still want to play in this scene or in this direction and not go fully into guiding.
And maybe in the future you could guide more if that's what you want to do. So it's cool to have that option.
Yeah, and that's a bit of strategy also behind it that I can be a pro skier now and I can be a guide later on. But
Hmm.
on the opposite way, that's not going to happen, right?
Hmm.
So, pro skier, it's a great thing. It's helping me for great experiences, but also the guiding. I know I have, if I'm stopping my career, I have the best job in the world. So, it's a good lookout for the moment. Yeah.
You have a good plan. Well, you should get some clients and come ski guide with us in Antarctica in October. It'd be really fun to have you down there.
Okay.
Yeah, yeah, because October is a good month. You're not really missing any skiing, so
Yeah, right.
might
Yeah.
as well go ski with some penguins.
What I've seen, what I've heard, it's one of the craziest trips to do down there. Yeah.
It's just so beautiful, and getting all the wildlife really adds to it. Well, I'm curious, as the last question here, what's next for you? What are your goals for the future?
Well, what's next? Next, let's take it to the closer look. And first thing is to get back on skis,
Hmm.
get back from the injury, get back on skis and see what doors are opening and which are maybe closing or what's in store for myself. Right now, I would love to still ski a few more years on the level that I have right now and maybe even still progress on it. But at the end, let's see what I'm gonna have. There is the skiing side, there is myself, but at the same time, there is the family. Jana is 4 months old, Nevia is 2 years old, and honestly, to be a dad, it's the best that could happen to me. And with that timing right now, it's even better.
You have time for the family right now, that's for sure. Well, I'm very confident that you will get back to the level you've been at and continue to ski at a very high level, Sam, especially because you have the right mindset. So I really appreciate you. Thank you so much for your time, for your energy today. Do you have anything else you'd like to add here at the end of the show?
No, not much. Actually, thank you for having me. Thanks, Miles. It was a pleasure. And it's really nice to speak about that openly and to reflect stuff also for myself. So yeah, thanks.
No, we're doing some therapy here today on the Snowbrains podcast. I love it. Nice, Sam. Well, hey, thanks again so much. I appreciate you and have a great rest of your day.
Yeah, you too. Thanks, Miles.
Thank you so much for listening to the Snowbrains podcast. If you like this podcast, please share with friends and family, and please make sure to subscribe. To find out more about Snowbrains, please visit us at snowbrains.com. You can also find us on Instagram, Facebook, X, and more. This episode of the Snowbrains podcast is brought to you by Club Med. Ditch the hassle and embrace the freedom of an all-inclusive ski vacation with Club Med. Their resorts in the European Alps and Canada offer the perfect blend of exhilarating skiing, exceptional service, and worry-free pampering. Enjoy having lift tickets, delicious meals, lessons for all ages, and endless apres-ski fun, all included in one price. While the kids are having a blast at the supervised children's clubs, you can focus on mastering your skiing skills and creating unforgettable memories on and off the slopes. Visit www.clubmed.us or call 1-800-CLUB-MED or call your travel advisor to experience skiing without limits. This episode of the Snowbrains podcast was edited by Liam Abbott. Music by Chad Crouch. And I'm your host, creator, and director, Miles Clark.